As a teacher, I believe that inspiration leads the way towards passion for discovery and purpose in learning. One of my key roles as a grade 6 educator is to create opportunities for my students to explore an array of ideas and ignite their curiosity so they can initiate their own inquiries. My name is Lina, and this is the story of how I revamped the Creative Minds unit that I teach in my integrated grade 6 English-Humanities class. To start, there were a few aspects of this unit that I wanted to improve. First, I wanted to move from a mostly teacher-directed, self-contained unit to a unit led by the students' interests and with strong connections to the world outside our classroom. I also wanted to encourage my students' creativity by using the launch cycle, which is a framework for design thinking, as one of the goals of this unit is for students to come up with an innovation that will contribute to the achievement of one of the Sustainable Development Goals. To tune into the unit, we watched a video about a nonprofit that turned an old school bus into mobile showers that are available to homeless people. We watched another video of an innovator who created edible cutlery to prevent creating more waste from disposable plastic. After watching these videos, the students were inspired by the creativity of the innovators and the impact that these innovations could have in people's lives. They were keen to know what this unit called Creative Minds was all about. This led the way to introduce the humanities concepts and the context of our unit. Using these words, the students worked in groups to come up with a statement of inquiry that included each of them and that would make sense. We shared all the statements of inquiry that the students created, and I also shared the one I created. The students were free to choose the one that resonated most with them. Now it was time to move on to the first phase of the launch cycle. Look, listen, and learn. We used Dollar Street to get us started. On this website, the students can look up how different families from around the world live. The students contrasted low-income families and high-income families. They also connected their observations to what they have seen here in China, in their home countries, and in other parts of the world they have visited. I used Mentimeter to gather and share the students' ideas. At this point, the students started to link their observations to our key concept, change, which led us to the second phase of the launch cycle, ask lots of questions. My students started wondering about the lives that low-income families live and what needs to change in the world to make it more fair and safer to all. Afterwards, we moved to the third phase of the launch cycle, understand the problem or process. I used the Sustainable Development Goals as the anchor point for this part of the unit. We looked at 2 videos from the world's largest lesson that introduced the ideas behind the goals and gave a brief overview of each of them. We highlighted Goal 9 and the idea that without innovation, it is unlikely that we will achieve the goals by 2030. To delve more into the goals, we did a speed dating activity where the students learned the basics about one goal and shared that knowledge with the rest of the students. They also had time to explore the SDGs that interested them the most, using a playlist with related resources that I created on our Moodle course page. In order to understand more about the creative process behind innovation, we organized a Skype call with Rajiv Masand, a software designer that works for Microsoft. To prepare for the call, the students read Rajiv's profile and brainstormed possible questions that they could ask him about his own work as an innovator. We used Padlet to brainstorm, categorize, and edit our questions. Rajiv gave us nearly 40 minutes of his time and was exceptional at answering the questions that the students had for him. With all this information buzzing in our heads, we moved on to the fourth phase of the launch cycle, navigate ideas. From the conversation with Rajiv, the students learned that as part of the innovation process, they have to identify a problem or situation that they want to change, the way to solve this problem or situation, and the resources needed to do this. They also learned from him that resources are not only physical, but other people can provide their expertise as a resource. Using Flipboard, I created a selection of crowdfunding videos of recent innovations that are connected to issues related to the Sustainable Development Goals. The students browsed the magazine and chose 3 projects to look at based on what piqued their interests, and in the end, focused on just one to do a close observation and identify the problem, the solution, and the resources used. Using all the learning they had done so far, the students were ready to start narrowing down ideas and choosing a current problem addressed by one of the SDGs to try to solve through an innovation of their own. Students were now ready to move on to the next phase of the launch cycle, create. During this phase, the students had almost 2 weeks of independent time in class to complete their research, to explain in detail a current problem, to develop the idea behind their innovation as a solution to their problem, the human and material resources needed to make this innovation, and to connect it all to one of the global goals. Using all of this, the students would create a presentation in the role of an innovator looking to crowdfund financial resources for his or her product. As always, my students blew me away with their amazing ideas. Let's hear some.
I chose Goal 6, Clean Water and Sanitation. My innovation is a mobile water purifier station that aims to purify water anywhere on the globe into clean water for poor people to drink.
I chose Goal 1, No Poverty. My innovation is a lamp that uses a thermoelectric process, and it aims to reduce inequalities for poor people that can't access light.
The goal that I focused on is Goal 13, Climate Action. My innovation is a shared vehicles company where you can rent electrical scooters, bikes, cars, etc. The aim is to get people to stop using their fossil fuel powered cars and other vehicles and start using these environmentally friendly instead.
I chose goal number 2, Zero Hunger. My innovation is a food machine which gives people expired food donated by supermarkets. Of course, it's food which you can still eat in exchange of plastic bottles. And this innovation aims to reduce the number of undernourished people, the food waste, and the amount of plastic on Earth.
To support their independent inquiry and to help them prioritize their work during this time, the students use the Moscow method to identify the most important tasks that will allow them to successfully complete this project. They also use the Gantt chart to allocate time to each of the musts and their selection of shoots from their Moscow tables. The students also included in their Gantt charts one-on-one conference times with me to talk about their progress. We used the shared spreadsheet to organize these appointments. All the work for this project was recorded in individual shared notebooks on Evernote, so it was easy for me to see their progress in real time and provide feedback as needed. Let's hear the thoughts of 2 students about this phase.
I think using the Gantt chart could help me a lot because I'll plan my lesson, and so I will know what I should do in this lesson and what should be done. Yeah.
When I use the Gantt chart, it helps me see what I have to do, and helps me spend my time wisely.
And what do you think, girls, about the Moscow chart where we looked at the musts, the shoulds, the coulds, and the won'ts? Do you think that was helpful to do for this project?
I think it's quite helpful because we will see what we must do and put that it's a goal that, and what we could do is extra.
Okay.
It will show us what we should, could, and must do.
How does that help you with time management, do you think, Karen?
Because then we'll know what things we should do first before we do other stuff that is not as important.
Okay. Overall,
I don't know, I forgot this word, but prioritizing.
Yes, exactly. That's what you were doing. To create their presentations, the students could choose the medium as long as they had a balance of written text, voiceover, images, and footage. We introduced the students to the Explain Everything app as it lent itself nicely to this type of presentation, but it was up to the students to choose the tool that they felt would work for them.
I think for this unit, because I could create my own innovation, I could be more creative and just kind of show my creative to everyone else. Yeah,
And also be allowed to choose our own way of doing things. Be allowed to choose. We have more freedom to do what we want. As Karen,
Why is that good for you?
Because it as Karen said, it can we can express our thoughts and ideas better if we have more freedom to do the things more freedom to express our creativity.
With draft of the presentation ready, we moved on to the next phase of the launch cycle, highlight and revise. In my original plan, the students were going to post their presentations on Flipgrid to have humanities students from another school give feedback to them. But unfortunately, this didn't work, so we tried connecting with a grade 10 humanities class in our school. But things didn't work either, so the students shared with a partner in class and received feedback before completing their best version of the presentation. Finally, it was launch time, the last phase of the cycle. We first did a gallery walking class for the students to look at each other's presentations. The students also posted on their blogs for others to see their work. The presentations that the students produced showed me that the goals set for the unit were achieved. However, there are a couple of things that I would do differently next time. First, we missed a really good opportunity for curation during this unit. While conducting their research, the students found amazing resources on innovation, on crowdfunding, on presentation design, and on sustainable development goals. Many of these resources could have been useful to other students. Next year, I am thinking of setting up different shared magazines on Flipboard where the students can add interesting resources they find along the way and which would be accessible to all the class. The other thing that I would change is how we launch the presentations. The effort and time that the students dedicated to them deserves more, so I'm still thinking of ways on how to involve other year groups, parents, and the wider school community. I hope this video has given you an insight into what went on during our Creative Minds unit. Thank you for your attention.